Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Exceptional Conservative Show live for the nation's capital. Like we stated earlier, later on this week we will be broadcasting live from the American Conservative Union, CPAC 2019. And it will be an all-day affair, all 3 days. And we want you to be there live. You can come directly to TheExceptionalConservativeShow.com for more, and actually to watch it live, the whole thing. You can watch it live. It's going to be wonderful, absolutely beautiful. It's going to be huge. Clarence Henderson, who is the president of the Frederick Douglass Foundation of North Carolina, is with us tonight, ladies and gentlemen. A historical civil rights leader from the counter at Woolworth to the floor of the White House, the Gold Room. He is recognized for his commitment to liberty and freedom for all. It's a pleasure and honor to have you with us tonight, Mr. Henderson.
It is indeed a pleasure to be with you this evening, to be on your radio show, to make the public aware of some of the things that are going on in our community and how we all can effectively change America as it needs to change in order that we continue to defend our freedom as opposed to going back to the slavery of King George III.
Exactly. Listen, Mr. Henderson, many people talk today that we're in the toughest civil rights struggle of American history. And we have to fight the struggle. We got to fight the power. We got to struggle. And I want you, because I think you would be a much healthier barometer of comparison, if you would tell us what the difference is between today in 1960 when you sat at the counter in Woolworth in Greensboro.
There are a number of differences in that. First of all, what we did has been broadened to make it look like almost everything is a civil rights movement, and it isn't. Mm-hmm. The new civil rights movement here, which they call it to be the LGBTQ civil rights movement, is not a civil rights movement at all. It's a choice. Mm-hmm. It has nothing to do with humanity. It has to do with the sexual orientation of a person, mm-hmm. which is a person's own private business that should not try to be imposed upon society at large. We need to look at the fact that we sit at that lunch counter, and it was a follow-up of what had happened back during slavery time when we thought of as being cattle of other property as opposed to being human beings. And then when we moved to Jim Crow era time that I was raised up in, to where we still thought it as being subhuman, whereby it was said that we need to be separate but equal. My problem with that is that if we're equal, then why do we need to be separate? So it wasn't any idea about sexual orientation that we participated in the civil rights movement. It was all about us being able to take our rightful place in the American society, because it's sitting around for me what is the second sentence of the Declaration of Independence, which says we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they have been endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, and that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That's the general consensus of humanity. It makes no preference based upon a sexual orientation. And if you look at it from that point of view, what they're trying to do now is get rid of manhood. It should not be, because God is the creator and we are the created, and we need to understand that what He says goes, and nothing that we do to try to change that. Man cannot change that.
Exactly.
So,
Mr. Henderson,
what I've seen
Mr. Henderson, there are people who are listening tonight who, and I'm going to play a clip in a few minutes after your response here. There are people here who say, wait a minute, but Dr. Martin Luther King's primary right-hand assistant, when he was leading the Southern Leadership Conference, was a homosexual. So wasn't Dr. Martin Luther King fighting for rights for that homosexual man, just like he was fighting for us to be able to eat at the lunch counter without discrimination? And aren't they the same thing that he was fighting for?
No, he was fighting for this man, not based upon his sexual orientation, we have gotten this thing mixed up in reference to choice versus, when I born into America, I was born as a black man, and that's what I am. Sexual orientation had nothing to do with that. I'm sure that there are a number of people that participated in the civil rights movement that have all various kinds of sexual orientation, but that's not the reason why they're participating in it. It's not a part of what is being stated and put out there. I just sit at that lunch counter to go to. It was said they had, that I could go to the women's bathroom. I said at the lunch counter I could go to any bathroom based upon what my sex is in the United States in a public facility. I can go into a man's bathroom.
Exactly.
And so the idea that what has happened is that they have piggybacked on this and have tried to make left, right, left, up, down, and make it a movement. And all this is a power struggle to actually force upon mankind, upon people, things that they don't believe in, that adhere to. I have never once had any derogatory statement in reference to a person's sexual orientation as they bring into the public square and put an activity to it. If you're going to judge a man by the color of his skin versus the content of his character, as opposed to whether he's a homosexual or not a homosexual, those are two totally different things. We've had a number of individuals that have a certain orientation, but what they're trying to do is say that if you say anything about this segment of our society, you're professing hate.
Yes.
We should all love. When God talked about love, he talked about agape love, not the erotic type of love. So when people start quoting scripture from the Bible in reference to saying that the Bible says one thing, which it doesn't say, that it says totally different.
Exactly.
And people, God said, he said that he had given these people to have this kind of mindset. He's given them up over to their reprobate mind, and whatever they do, that is they're living according to their sin. There's something from the sin that they deal with.
Exactly. We're talking tonight with Clarence Henderson of the Frederick Douglass Foundation of North Carolina. You can find them at fdfnc.site, fdfnc.site. Ladies and gentlemen, we're talking about the fact that the civil rights movement has been abducted, kidnapped, hijacked, however way you wish to say it, by the LGBTQRSTUVWXYZ community that is also pursuing pedophilia at this particular time period. And ladies and gentlemen, it is so audacious that last night at the Oscars, Billy Porter wore a dress. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to play that clip for you. When we come back, I want to talk with Mr. Henderson about where do black men stand in America. Well, actually, where do men stand in America? So hang on to that, Mr. Henderson. We'll be right back with you after this clip.
You know you've shut down the internet tonight.
Did I shut it down?
You know you shut it down.
Well, I was trying to have a conversation with the world. It's time to start having this conversation.
And what was the conversation you wanted to have with the
This
world?
conversation is about authenticity. It's about the acceptance and the honoring of people's humanity, even when you don't get it or understand it. You know, I don't need acceptance. I don't need tolerance. But what we demand is your respect for our humanity. The end.
Well, on the vain side of it, I heard Christian Siriano say you didn't even need any alterations either.
That's a testament to his people who took my measurements right. You know, they got to take the measurements right.
Well,
they take the measurements right. When it comes, it fits, right?
How did you feel when you stepped out? And
you know, I have to say, there was a long time in my life. You know, I'm going to turn 50 this year. I've been in the business for 30 years. You know, there was a period of time when I first started where, you know, there was a homophobic silencing of every instinct that I had as a human being on this planet. And I'm reclaiming my time.
baby,
I'm reclaiming it. I'm taking it back.
I love
You
that.
know what I mean? It's like, you know, and being on Pose and I said, you know, kinky boots, it's like putting on that dress and putting on them pumps made me feel the most powerful and the most masculine that I've ever felt.
I saw you in kinky boots, and I remember when I saw you, first of all, you took my breath away.
Oh, thank you.
And I was like, I've never seen anything like this, brother, before. I'm so serious. I'm so serious.
Thank you. It's the conversation that we're trying to have. It's like we're all special. We all deserve to be respected.
Now let me ask you about some parts in the show tonight.
Yes.
Gaga and Bradley on stage together.
It just took my breath away. That song, the simplicity in that lyric, as well as the simplicity in the melody, is so astonishing. It really, really hits right here. It's such a beautiful song.
And the chemistry?
And the chemistry. We ain't gonna talk about that because they ain't with other people, ain't they with other people? You know, this would just...
Ladies and gentlemen, Billy Porter stated that he didn't feel like a man until last night when he put on the heels and the dress. That made him feel like a man. I'm going to ask a real man, Clarence Henderson, civil rights icon. Sir, is that the definition of a man for the new America?
It certainly is not. He has become confused somewhere along the line because when we look at God's design for manhood, he made man to be distinctive from a woman, from a female.
Mm-hmm.
God created man, male, and female, and although man was created in harmony with woman, they bear differences that are non-transferable.
Mm-hmm.
These differences provide for, among other things, the procreation of human life and the orderliness of human existence. Men have been given a central role in society.
Mm-hmm.
And any deviation from God's purpose or trivialization of men's distinctiveness and uniqueness will result in catastrophe. And that's what we're seeing happening right now, is that masculinity is being taken away for those that allow it to happen, because it has, when we look at the confusion that has been brought about by the lack of distinctive masculinity, it has plagued the entire world.
Mm-hmm.
The biblical model of manhood must be adhered to. It must be understood that God, being the creator, designed us the way that He wanted us to be, and that's the way it should be. And we have mankind or humanity has come up with an idea, a list of ideas, the way they think it should be.
Exactly.
But that's not the way that it is.
Yeah, you referred to it.
So we have to.
Yeah, you referred.
We must realize the truth of that, not my truth, not your truth. There's not but one truth, and that is the truth.
Amen. It's God's truth. I want to ask you right here,
Amen.
because Mr. Henderson, he stated that he doesn't want your acceptance of him, and he doesn't want your tolerance of him, but he wants your respect for him. And I want to ask you tonight, sir, when you were fighting for civil rights, were you fighting for respect or were you fighting for your rights?
I was fighting for my rights. I can teach a person how to respect me. I have no problem with that.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is that we were not a part of the mainstream of society, whereby we had the same opportunity as anyone else. And when you look at the segment of the population that which quote unquote traditional,
Yes,
or non-traditional, then we all have the same opportunity. We've had people serving every office that is in this land that are part of traditional society and non-traditional society. It's when they try to force things upon us. When you talk about tolerance, they're the ones not tolerant, because here's a question. Do you hear men, traditional men, espousing about their manhood, and they want to make people aware that I'm a straight man? No,
yeah.
That's not a part of what we talk about. What we're looking at is ones that are trying to tell us what we can do, what we cannot do, what we can say, what we cannot say, and espousing that it is is a hate crime or a hate statement you make when you make them any different from who different from traditional mankind. They are the ones that keeps expressing the difference.
Yes.
They are the ones that are expressing that if I'm in the process of being a transgender, that I should be able to go in the women's bathroom when they still have all the masculine traits down there. They got sexual equipment down there, and going into the women's bathroom and saying that I feel like that I'm a woman.
Exactly.
The bottom line is that I feel like that Ken, that you ought to give me $1 million. You see? You see what I'm saying? It's about facts.
Exactly. And, you have hit right on the point of where Democrat socialists have driven America in their Marxist quest to install communism in America. It is to confuse people on race. It is confuse people on sexual orientation, to confuse people with the idea that what you do in the bedroom is equal to your natural right. And natural rights are totally different from civil rights. I want to go quickly to this last question, this segment on that, and then I want to talk with you about the 9th District in North Carolina. There are those who say that North Carolina has been punitive, has been mean-spirited to the LGBT community, and that you're on the wrong side of history. Would you give a retort to that? Are you on the wrong side of history?
Well, for me, history is history. Right side or the wrong side, people have to determine that. They come up with all these phrases that there's no concrete definition of. Was slavery the wrong side of history? It was a part of history of what happened to mankind, what is going on in America right now. They're trying to rewrite history and say that the way I see history, that's the way that it should be. History, one of the biggest challenges we have in America is that people don't know the history of America. Yeah. They have no idea what it means to be an American citizen. These things that we're discussing, like sexual orientations and all of these kinds of things, are small matters in comparison to our freedom, our liberty, our rights as human beings, not the rights of a certain sexual orientation, not the rights of people, for example, our government is set up whereby that we are a republic and not a democracy. And so therefore we need to understand that each person has a rightful place on this earth, but my rights end, Ken, where yours begin. I have no right to infringe upon your rights. I must respect your rights, and I would, and you must respect mine. That's how we get along. The LGBTQ are the ones that are espousing hatred, and it says you must accept me for who I am. I accept you if you look a man, I accept you as a man. You're like a woman, I accept you as a woman, and that's it.
Exactly.
I'm not asking you to pull your clothes off to find out SAM. But now I'm going into sexual harassment.
Clarence Henderson, ladies and gentlemen, the head of the Frederick Douglass Foundation of North Carolina. You can find them at fdfnc.site. Want to ask you in finality here, the Republicans have a black eye in North Carolina across the state because of the Mark Harris election in the 9th Congressional District, where it was found that there was someone committing voter fraud in the 9th District. There will have to be a special election coming up in the spring or summer to fill the post. There are warnings that the Democrats are going to take that particular seat. I want you to tell me, will the Democrats take that seat, and what can the Republicans do in North Carolina to recover from this terrible situation?
The Republican Party must realize that the Democratic Party has resorted to litigation in reference to every aspect of politics. Litigation, how can I say that? In the state of North Carolina, a couple of years ago, 66% of the voters voted for traditional marriage.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was litigation brought about by a couple going to a judge, and the judge changed that over. How can that be? We're not judge based. We don't live according to the rule of man. We according to the rule of law, and that should hold true. The same thing has happened with ID and for voting. There's no such thing as voter ID. I have a post office, and when I had the post office box, I had to show 2 forms of ID.
Mm-hmm.
So now, the state of North Carolina has decided again we will have a person will have to show a picture ID for voting, and now they're fighting again. There's litigation. When it comes to the Mark Harris situation, Mark fought a good fight, and he was in the midst of some things that have been going on all the time. It didn't just start there. It started way back, but each time that the other side does something, is accused of doing something like that, they don't even take it before the board to find out whether it's fact or fiction.
Yeah.
So we have a party, a Republican Party, a Democratic Party says we will win by any means necessary, and the voter is the one. We as voters are the one who make these decisions. And one of the sad realities of that particular district is that if a Democrat becomes wins that district, we're going to have less freedom in North Carolina than we had before, and we can base it on looking at what the governor of the state of North Carolina has done. Mm-hmm. You know, the things that he's tried to change and trying to take over. In other words, a bigger government. Yep. More taxes and all these kind of things. So we have to look at, when we talk about politics, we have to look at the policies or the regulations of the people, what they put in place. And I have to use Donald Trump as an example. I have not seen, since he's been president, I have not seen him put out one racist policy.
Yep.
It's been straight across the board what's better for mankind altogether. So the Democrats are trying to make this a one-party system. They're trying to make it so that they have control. All of this stuff is about control. Mm-hmm. It's not about, as far as Jim Crow concerned, it was about control. Slavery, it was about control. When my insight on that, the way I look at things, that any person that tries to take away Clarence Henderson's freedom, I have a problem with them. Mm-hmm. All I want to do is be left alone and live out my life in America according to the free society that we have, which says that you have to be able to self-govern yourself. When the government resorts to trying to steal elections as opposed to allowing the people to do what our political system says is by voting, and I'll give you an idea. Mm-hmm. It goes all the way back to when the Democratic Party did initially. In the first article of the Constitution, it says that blacks were 3/5 of a person. Yeah. Well, why did they put that there? They put it there because states like South Carolina, who had a large population of slaves, mm-hmm. which they considered them their property, said that we want to make them people so that we can have them vote and get a full vote to keep slavery in our society. Mm-hmm. But a free black man had a full vote just like anybody else. So they have continually, down through the years, used all kind of ploys to keep in control. For example, we got 90+% of blacks in America voting for Democrats, and my question is that what have Democrats done for you? Amen. Except keep you in slavery. Now it's gone from physical slavery, from physical bondage to mental bondage. Mm-hmm. And we've got to recognize that who we vote for are the people that are supposed to be working for us. Make sure they're working for us and not coming up with their own agenda. It's just like the Republican and Democratic Party is done right now. They're even so bold to talk about infanticide.
Yes.
So the question is, will the elderly people be next? Will they decide that the person will reach a certain age that we should euthanize them or kill them or whatever? So we're in a box right now where every person that lacks that freedom must be willing to commit according to what Braveheart says, that every man dies and not every man lives. You got to put your life on the line if necessary. I choose not to exist. I choose to live according to who God said I was and what assignment He's given me.
The great Clarence Henderson, ladies and gentlemen, the Frederick Douglass Foundation of North Carolina, fdfnc.site, fdfnc.site. It is a tremendous honor to have you on the air with us tonight. Thank you for all that you have done, not just for black people, not just for the South, but for America, sir. Your pursuit of liberty and freedom and its exercise has been plenteous and fruitful for all of us. Thank God for you, and we look forward to you coming back to our program soon.
Have a good evening, brother.
You too. God bless you. Ladies and gentlemen,
God bless you too.
Clarence Henderson, ladies and gentlemen, we'll be right back with more of the best right after these messages.